Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a very exciting video. I'm gonna introduce my 2023 Pan Those Eyeshadows. I've been waiting to do this video. I did Pan Those Eyeshadows last year, but I'm very excited about this year because I'm gonna do it a bit differently. So I am gonna join in Laney on her prompts this year. So if you don't know Laney, I will have her channel linked down below. But basically, at the start of 2022, she created a list of prompts for Pan Those Eyeshadows. So instead of randomizing a completely random shade or randomizing a palette and picking a shade, or however you want to do it, she decided to create some prompts where you get a prompt and you have to pick an eyeshadow matching that prompt, and that's how you pick your shades. So that's what I want to do as well, because basically the reason why I'm joining in is because I love prompts in general. I love prompt-based projects, but also I feel like that will give me a bit more freedom to pick shades that I actually really enjoy and I want to pan, rather than, you know, just random eyeshadows. There are some prompts of like things, like something you don't want to pan, so if I get that, obviously I have to pick that. But in general, like for example, if I get like a shimmer shadow or a matte, I can pick whatever shimmer shadow I want, and something that I actually want to pan. I know there's also like a red matte, for example, or blue shimmer. Again, I can pick whatever I want, just as long as it matches that prompt. So that's kind of why I wanted to join in this, and I think it's going to give me some more freedom. I won't feel so overwhelmed. I feel like I won't feel so like random with choosing the palettes that I work on. I can actually work on specific palettes if I want, or I can pick more specific eyeshadows. If there's an eyeshadow that I want to focus on this year and hit pan on, I can try to add it into one of the prompts. So I'm really excited about this. I'm actually filming this quite early. I just filmed my finale for my last year's Pan Those Eyeshadows earlier today. So I'm pre-filming this about, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks, no, probably more than that, 2 weeks in advance. So, you know, quite a bit, but I'm doing it now so that I can start gently and have some extra time before my first update. I don't think I'm going to start working on these eyeshadows straight away, but I just wanted to film it so it's done. It's also good to pre-film because right now I'm off work, because if you don't know, I was off for a while because I went to hospital, whatever. I posted a video about it in December, so when you see this it's going to be way past, but I have some time off now, so I do want to pre-film as much as I can. And intro videos is easy to pre-film because, you know, it's just an intro. It's not like you have to wait for progress to film the update. So that rant being over, I'm super excited to share with you the shadows that I'm going to pick, and I'm going to go through all of that in a second. But before I jump into that and my specific rules, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. Some housekeeping before I get in. Again, I'm gonna have Laney linked down below with her you know, list of prompts as well. She has a Google spreadsheet with all the prompts. You can do it two ways. Either, I think in the prompt list, the original one, she has some prompts duplicated, like some of the ones that she wants more frequently, whereas I think she also has a version without the duplicated prompt. But I'm going to use the original one with duplicated prompts, and I have added all of them into my Tiny Decisions app, so I will be randomizing them in front of you. And this year I'm going to work on 5 eyeshadows again. Last year I only worked on 4, but I decided to go back to 5 eyeshadows. And my goal with every eyeshadow is going to be to use the eyeshadow 20 times or hit pan. So last year I had 15 uses of pan, but I'm upping that again to 20 because I do want to have a bit more of a challenge, because I'm picking the eyeshadows via the prompts. So I want to have a bit of a higher usage goal, so it's a bit more of a challenge. Apart from that, it's basically going to stay the same. I'm going to do it the same way I've done it before. I'm allowing myself to have 3 vetoes throughout the year, so if I'm working on something and I really don't like it, I can roll it out with a veto. But usually I don't use vetoes. But those are my main rules, and honestly I can't wait to roll in the eyeshadows. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my phone and I will pick the first prompt. So again, I have my wheel right here with all of the prompts, so I'm going to go ahead and pick the first one, and honestly I'm so excited. So the first one is a shadow starting with R. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of that, and then we're going to pick the next one, which is going to be a shadow starting with S. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to go ahead again and roll the third prompt. And that is going to be shadow from your least favorite palette. Okay, I can do that. I used to declutter some palettes, so it's going to be difficult picking a least favorite one, but yeah, sure. And then for the fourth eyeshadow, we're gonna get an everyday shadow. Okay, that's perfect. I'm excited for that one. And then the very last prompt we're gonna get is gonna be a shadow starting with S. Did I just have that one? Do I not? Maybe I should do, can you do non-repeats? No repeating results. Yeah, I'm going to add that in now, because I know for sure that that prompt has already been, and I know it's only once in the spreadsheet. So I'm going to do no repeating prompts now, but you know, I might already get the ones that I already rolled because I didn't have that setting in, but I'm going to go ahead and pick now and see what I get. And we just get a mainstream brand shadow. Okay, that's fine. So just to summarize, let's go to my screenshots. We have the prompts: a shadow starting with R, a shadow starting with S, shadow from your least favorite palette, an everyday shadow, and a mainstream brand shadow. So those are my 5 prompts. I'm gonna go ahead and go and pick out my 5 eyeshadows, and I will show you the color story and the eyeshadows that I picked. So I'm back and I have my color story, and I'm very excited. I feel like I did a pretty cohesive color story. I wanted to do something that I could work on together, and it's something that got me excited, something different that I've been working on recently. As you know, I have been panning my Modern Renaissance palette, so I wanted to do something completely different from that and something that I was excited about. So I started off by looking at the prompts, and started off with my least favorite palette and looked at that, and then I pulled out the palette that I wanted to work on and saw if I could fit any other prompts to that, and that's kind of how I figured it out. So with that, I came up with this color story right here. So you might, yeah, you can see it right there. So I'm gonna go through each shade and talk you through which one corresponds to which prompt. So the top eyeshadow up here is the eyeshadow that starts with an R, and that one comes from my Soft Glam palette, and it is the shade Rose Pink. It is this eyeshadow here. You can see I have a little bit of usage on it, but no pan, and I would like to get some more use out of my Soft Glam palette, so I feel like this one is a good one to roll in. It is a bit more neutral than the other tones, so I feel like this is going to be a good one to use for every single day. And I do think this one is one that I could work with a bit more warmer tones, so the shades that I'm trying to still finish in my Modern Renaissance palette, I feel like this one could work with those, so I wanted to roll this one in, and again, that is an eyeshadow starting with R. Next up on my hand, we have another shimmer shadow, and that one is this beautiful purple shade right here. This one is one that comes from a palette that I want to give it more love in my collection, so I pulled this one out and saw if I could find a prompt that fitted the eyeshadows in here, and I found the eyeshadow starting with S, and that comes from my Love Notes palette by Beauty Bay. I did want to pull this one in partly because I know it's a bit easier to hit pan on these eyeshadows, but the eyeshadow starting with S that I'm going to pull in is the shade down here called Sparks. It's a beautiful purple shimmery shade, and I feel like this is going to be a really fun one to reach for. I know we're not quite in spring yet, but I feel like I'm so excited for these more romantic tones, and I want to pull in and use this eyeshadow, and hopefully by using this one I can pull and use some more of this palette, because I really love this palette and I haven't given it enough love in the past year. So yeah, I'm excited to work on that eyeshadow. So when it comes to my least favorite palette in my collection, it took me a little while to figure out which one it is, but I do think it comes down to this palette here. Granted, like I said, I just did a declutter of some of my least favorite palettes that I got rid of. So the remaining palettes are all things that I 100% want to keep, but I do think my least favorite palette in my collection at the moment is my Book of Magic palette by Beauty Bay. So from this palette, I decided to roll in the eyeshadow up here in the corner called Enchanted. It's a really light purple. I feel like the camera is washing it out a little bit. That's slightly more true to color, but it's a beautiful kind of pinky tone purple, like between the pink and a purple, I would say. And I feel like this one is really fun to work on in combination with some of the other pink and purples that I rolled in, and that is the swatch right here. I feel like again it's being washed out a tiny bit by the ring light, but that is the shadow there. I might insert some photos here of the color story, because it is really getting washed out by the ring light, because it's not as pale as it looks, at least in the viewfinder for me. But it's a beautiful eyeshadow, and hopefully, even though it is a matte, it shouldn't take too long to pan on this eyeshadow, because the pans are a bit more shallow in the Beauty Bay formula, or in the Beauty Bay pans. And I did want to not just go for shimmers, because I feel like that's the easy way out, and I wanted to incorporate some mattes as well. I almost went for this shimmery purple here to work with other purple, but I did want to challenge myself a little bit and pull in a matte, so that is why I decided to go with Enchanted. Then I kind of switched the order up because I swatched them in the wrong order, but the next prompt that I have swatched out on my hand is this shimmer shade right here, which comes from a mainstream brand. And the eyeshadow that comes from a mainstream brand that I decided to pick from comes from my Huda Beauty Nude Light Obsessions, because I feel like Huda Beauty is a very mainstream brand. It's a very in the spotlight brand at the moment, so I wanted to pull in something from their palette. And I feel like, again, this palette doesn't have too deep of pans, so I wanted to give this a shot. I love this palette as well, and I want to give it some more love. And I also feel like this one would work really well in combination with the Love Notes palette. So the eyeshadow that I decided to pull in is this shimmery one here. It's like a duochrome from pink to gold, and it's absolutely stunning. So I can't wait to reach for this one a bit more, and that is the next eyeshadow that I decided to pull in. Then for the last prompt, we have an everyday eyeshadow, and originally I was going to go for like a champagne, like an inner corner highlight, something like that, but ultimately I went for a bit of a cop-out. Also, I don't know, maybe it's not a cop-out for me though, because it's a matte shade and it's not something that I use. I mean, I do use it most days, but it's not so much of an everyday shade for me as it is, I know it is for other people. But what I decided to go for comes from my Sultry palette, and it is the shade Fresh, which is this shade here. And that is just a setting shade. I use these as blending out shades, and I thought that would be a good one to have in. It's another matte, which is again something I wanted to try to incorporate. You can see it's swatched right here. And it is something that I can use with every single look, even if I go for a colorful look or a neutral look. These type of blending out shades I can use every single day, and that's why I decided to go for this eyeshadow. I do have a little bit of usage on this from before, because I have tried to work on this eyeshadow before. Obviously not to pan. I mean, I tried to originally, but then I pulled in something else and hit pan on that one instead. But you can see there's a little bit of a dip, so hopefully I have a little bit of a head start on this shadow. I have no idea how long it's going to take, but I thought this was the perfect one to roll in for an everyday eyeshadow. So again, this here is my color story. I will again insert the picture so you can see it more true to color. But that is eyeshadows I'm going to work on for the first month of this project. I am honestly so excited to do this. I can't wait to continue working on the prompts, and yeah, I just think it's going to be so much fun. I have been doing Pan Those Eyeshadows for so many years. I think it's been like 3 or 4 years that I've done it, so switching it up this year is gonna be, it just makes the product new and fresh for me, and yeah, honestly I can't wait. So please make sure to follow along and subscribe if you are new here, and also check out Laney's channel down below. I love watching her channel. She's just so sweet, and she also loves indie eyeshadows just like I do. She always features the most beautiful indie eyeshadows on her channel, and I didn't roll in any indie shadows into my project because I'm not quite, you know, there to pan on some of them yet. I think I will try to work on that this year, but I wanted to start out easy. But she definitely includes some of her indie eyeshadows into her Pan Those Eyeshadows too, and she is amazing at hitting pan on her shadows as well. So please make sure to check out her channel down below, as well as if you want to join in the prompt list, that will, like I said, also be linked down below. So I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.